Sure. Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Heather. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Heather.
So I have done a few speaker meetings in the past, but it was like in 2011 where I hadn't really had a lot of guests. So from that time to this time, I've pretty much covered every guest except long-term prison and death. So I'm 34. I was always I lived out here in Brooklyn with my dad since I was like 7. So my addiction began really early in my lifetime. At 7 years old, I became a half pint to a pint of vodka a day drinker. It wasn't by my own doing. I was, my mom had had an affair, and so the guy became my stepdad. And so from 7 to 16, I was basically molested from men every day. And parents didn't really care. They thought that if I kept talking about it, then that means that I wanted it, type of thing. So my stepdad spiked my pop with vodka, and so that's how I began. And I began driving us to bars every night, and we'd sneak in a little vodka. And my mom, she knew that I was drinking, but she said, well, she's not as drunk as us, so let's just let her drive. So 7, 8, I was drinking and driving. I had to have alcohol to go to school. So I basically did that for my whole childhood. I had a rough childhood, but like there was always that thought of, well, if this didn't happen to me and I didn't get my pop spiked with vodka, then maybe I wouldn't have been as bad as I got. So I finally was able to move in with my dad at 16, and that's when my abuse stopped, and everybody blamed me, for my mom's life gone wrong. But I started smoking marijuana at 14, which I think that kind of did save me from all the childhood trauma that I experienced. It held back the trauma for a minute. Your body will kind of go into a survival mode, and so I just felt like I had to have this at all costs. So I wasn't taught that you shouldn't drink when you're young and stuff like that, and alcohol was always there for me. So I just drank and kind of tried to act like my life was good. I say this a lot, is I was a silver platter baby, but it was all materialistic stuff. So I went on cruises, vacations, all this stuff handed to me. I'm a U of M fan, so my whole entire room was painted U of M and everything. So it was like, I just thought that was normal. That was just how children grow up. So I did that and just kind of coped with life. My dad was, both of my parents are alcoholics, and my dad is a Vietnam vet, so he has his own struggles, but he never knew how to really care for a child. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, someone came over to my house and they're like, well, yeah, you had this beautiful daughter. He says, she was a mistake. She was a mistake. Oh my goodness, she was just a mistake. That wasn't a planned thing. Come to find out, I have 5 sisters that I don't even know about. My dad tried to get me, he tried signing me up for the Army when I was, 14. I guess legally you can do that if you're a parent. So I was always a tomboy. You know, part of it was my dad wanted it, so I'm like, okay, well, I'll just try to get acceptance by, you know, being a tomboy and trying to go in the army. And when I was younger, me and my dad's time was like, I was daddy's little girl then. And you know, I did everything. I fished and did all the little boy stuff all the little tomboy stuff, and I loved it. And and part of it was to mask the abuse of what I went through. Like, if I can be a boy, if I can look like a boy, then I won't get attacked like I used to. So that was kind of an identity. But I never really knew who I was. Like, nobody told me about God. Nobody told me, that they loved me. They just said that, we were the best parents. You got every single thing ever. You were treated so good. And they still think that to this day, but I just think that when they get to heaven or wherever they go, that they'll be told what they really did wrong. I don't think it's for me to say. So for a long time, I battled that why question. Why me? Why this? Why did I get treated like this? Why? And so I fell into depression big time. Like, I don't think I ever smiled. I had a sweatshirt, I had a hood on, and I would just sit in class, and that's where I grew into a manipulating thing to try and get. All the teachers were mostly women, and they were mostly moms. So if I could get someone's attention to have them coddle me, all I wanted was a mom, all I wanted was a dad. I didn't care if you lived in a cardboard box. That's just all I wanted. All I wanted in life, was two parents that loved me. And so I searched for people that were not going to. They couldn't serve that for me, They did temporarily. I have like thousands of moms now. It's in a temporary fashion to where it's like if I can just win their approval, then that's then I'm happy about that. And so I started manipulating a lot. I started manipulating everything. Just to kind of get what I wanted, because I needed that at the time. Like, if babies don't have physical touch, then they die. So it was kind of like I didn't really have a soul that really fit my body, in a sense. I didn't have an identity. My identity was found in abuse, alcohol, drugs, and being told that I'm worthless and that I should just kill myself. And so I took that image on for a long time. I started my first time getting clean when I was like 17, about to be 18, and I was in Jackson in the NA program, and I had no idea what an addiction was. Like, my women's Bible study said, you have an addiction to drugs and alcohol. You need to go to NA or AA. So I'm like, all right. I always try to, whatever anybody tells me, I do it because I wasn't taught that maybe I could be successful in my own way. I didn't know, so I'm like, well, they're adults. I guess I should just do what everybody else says, to please everybody too. So I went into NA, and I started to sort of get clean, but I liked being there because every time I told a sad story, people would be like, oh my goodness, you're just in the best place. We love you, we love you, we love you. And just, I just wanted to be there because everybody looked at me with a smile instead of hate, I wasn't a mistake. I was finally being fed with truth that I am a person, I make mistakes, but that I can overcome this, If I just stay in the program and do what I need to do, then then I can find myself, I can find my identity. So that went on for a little bit, and I never was in any relationships until like 2018, and that's when I found crack and meth, and I was injecting it, and I actually went to the lowest to inject alcohol, about a half a pint of alcohol a day, and so I was like, all right, cool, I've been hitting all these yets, and I'm still not ready to go back. I know I'm too smart for my own good. So, and I have a photographic memory. So when I read the NA readings or AA readings, I'm like, yeah, I know that. Yeah, that's all right. I know that. I memorized that. I memorized that. I memorized that book. I did all this, but I never really acted in it. I would basically just read it and know it to be able to tell it to someone else. And then there's another pleasing thing. I never really focused on myself. I'm like, oh, well, this person doesn't know about chapter, about page 81, so I can, prove that I know. I just wanted to be important. I just wanted to feel like that people actually recognize me for being a good person and not a horrible person and worthless. So I didn't go back to the program for quite a while, and a lot of it was shame. It was a lot of shame because it's like, oh, now I gotta face all these people and I gotta tell them that I've got relapse and that I've been going the wrong way, and actually just to confess that I was only in it for people to recognize me. I was only in it for people to say, hey, you're smart. Hey, you know this. Wow, you're smart. Wow. Just to be recognized for doing something good, like I said. And so I actually finally found God, not in the program, but in rehab with a lady, Miss Kay. She was here when Angie spoke. And she just says, God just loves you. He's gonna make you into such a powerful person. You just have to acknowledge that and know that you are a child of God. You are amazing. You do have strength. You were born for a reason. He handpicked me to be born a certain day, a certain hour, a certain minute. I valued that because, just to revert back, when my mom found out she was pregnant, she called my dad and said, well, if you don't come from Florida to Michigan and marry me, I'm aborting this kid. I don't want nothing to do with this kid. She was a topless dancer in college for a while. She was a Harlem chick, basically. She was just in that. So she didn't want to waste her time with a child. So to be told that I was handpicked by God to be delivered here, I was a miracle. Everybody is, and everybody does have struggles, and that's what makes them. That's what makes them part of the puzzle, to where if we're gathered like we are here, every certain person has a special and important piece to this puzzle. And if we don't stand up in confidence and in truth, then the puzzle can crumble, or it might not be put together the right way. I have certain pieces that connect to you guys in a certain way, and I took the God road more this time. I was introduced to some crazy things being on those hard drugs, and it was chaos, and I realized that I was addicted to chaos. It almost wasn't even about the drug. It was the drug will lead me to all these days of literal life and death situations. Literal life and death. I was faced with that every single day. And I loved it, because I'm like, I'm like, well, God's got me. I used God as an excuse to go into these very bad places, and I'm like, well, God's got me. I'm not going to be hurt. Thank God I didn't, but He got me out when I needed it, and so like I am on a really good path now. It is about God for me, and earlier in my recovery, I had thought, I'm like, I was like, well, all I'm doing is I'm coming and getting clean just for me. But I go back home and nobody cares. They're like, oh, that's just junk. Oh, you're just whatever. Blah, blah, blah. That's all in your head. You're being brainwashed. Same in church too. And I was like, why am I just getting clean for myself? I don't have anybody to, like, I don't have a cheerleading squad in my house. I don't have anybody around me that like, I mean, acquaintances, but I don't have any blood relatives that are actually proud of me, so what's the use? And that's why I went back out, because I'm like, well, I didn't really find who I truly was. Like, I didn't love myself enough to actually get clean, So I kept searching, and I found church, my church down the road, and they just love me for me, no matter how many times I messed up. It's a spiritual battle, so it all is, and it's, I was thinking about this earlier, as I'm like, I have an everyday victory. I'm still in the war. I'm still going to have certain times where I have fleeting thoughts of using, or flashbacks of using, and, that are just euphoric. But every day that I surrender my will and submit and not do things for instant gratification, or do things for selfish ambition, then I do win the victory every single day. But it's an everyday thing. I can't say, well, in 2024 I was baptized and all this stuff, so everything's going to be good, right? Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It gets harder sometimes, because the longer that I stay away from that caged monster, the more it gets angrier at me, because don't leave me. It's a selfish disease, because it doesn't want you to leave it, because you're the most loyal companion. You spend all your money on it. Drunk drivings, and just you sell your entire self to it. And it's a I've heard this once, is it's the only disease that thinks that you don't have a disease. And so I do love the program, because it teaches me how to be honest, and how to understand myself, to where I hear everybody's experiences, or how they got through something, and I can relate it to myself. I don't really like to say that I'm an addict alcoholic. I like to usually say that I qualify, because I feel like when I speak certain words, that gives a certain energy, and if that addiction monster is close to hear it, and it thinks that I still think that I'm an addict, alcoholic, then it'll come to try to prove me that I'm a using addict, alcoholic. So I say I qualify. But I once I, how do I say this? Once I acknowledge my self-respect and the power that I do have to make choices or to not, then I can be more powerful than that active addiction. I know that I still have a disease, but I arrest it every day by submitting and allowing God to take my actions and control my life. You know, some days, I mean, I'm not perfect, obviously, so some days I'll be like, well, I just don't want to do that today. I just want to sleep in. You know, and I just know where my freedom lies, and it's all in trusting God. So far, that has given me more awakening and more revelation as to who I am. And I'm not in active addiction. I can keep that. I have the key to unlock that monster in me. So I have the power now. It's easier to stay clean than it is to get clean. That's just my personal thing. And I have that key anytime that I want to unlock it. But I have to acknowledge the worst time, and that it will be worse. I don't know what you guys think about like hitting rock bottom, but I think that there really is no rock bottom unless you're dead. Like you can hit your lowest point and think it's that, but you got the key and you got the shovel. You can dig further. You can either unlock that beast or you can unlock the freedom. And that, for me, that is found God. Oh wow. I don't know. So yeah, I am on a really good path today, and I don't know. I kind of running short here a little bit, huh?
I'm sure we could find some questions.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to get too much on the God concept because this is an AA meeting, so I know like.
Oh, you done did that.
Certain things that, you know, but I can't stress enough how finding a higher power is. You know, I find the ultimate higher power, and I don't speak my truth. I speak the truth. Everybody has a truth per se, but I mean, my truth lies in God and reading the Bible and surrendering and having grace and mercy every single day. So when I surrender to that, I mean, everything just goes the way it's supposed to go. And that old saying, you know, you can't keep it unless you give it away is very important too, because, you know, I just watched a symposium thing, and it talked about confidence, having confidence to speak boldly about the truth, you know, and if somebody's being truthful in their own way, and it doesn't align with God's truth, then I have that assignment to tell them, regardless if it hurts them or not. You know, I haven't gotten that bold yet, but there's always, you know, there's time to grow. You know, so I think. I mean, well, now what I am struggling with is that you know, I'm on probation for drunk driving, and I got a little less than 7 months to go, and the real freedom that I have found, that the obsession and everything is gone, is My dad is still actively, he's still drinking, still smoking weed in the house. He's a very bad narcissist, let's just put it that way. So, some people are like, how do you resist that? How does that not make you want to do that? And I'm like, absolutely not. For one, the fear of jail comes into play. And so, as some, I do have accountability in that aspect, but I don't live by cheating anymore. I don't live by my selfish desires anymore. I live in a way that if I were to relapse, I know that my Father in heaven would be heartbroken, not angry, not harsh, but just heartbroken that I've allowed myself to damage my own body and my mind and my spirit and my heart, and if not arrested right away, then that just leads me down so many different roads that just wind up going back to the start of the beginning of my addiction, basically. And I live with integrity now, and I have an accountability partner, which I think is extremely crucial. Your sponsor can be an accountability partner, but I have an accountability partner that looks to that we center our relationship around God and around truth and around self-discipline, self-control, love, and trust, and I know that I can tell her anything, and she's not angry at me, but she tells me the truth. You can't spot self-deception on your own. So I need somebody to see me on an outside view. And I so far think that I am doing a good job. Giving yourself praise and does not necessarily lead to pride, in my opinion, because I have to humble myself. I know I'm not the creator. I know I didn't create myself. But I helped develop a really strong path in my life that I do have a lot of self-discipline and self-control. And, part of it is that, a lot of people do rely on me, and if I were to do something that would discredit myself or discredit my integrity, then I can't face that person. I just can't anymore. And that's changed because when I was using and getting high, I was a very good liar. I had to be in order to live in that underworld, just to, get by. So I think I have found really true freedom, but I know it's not a one and done thing. Like I said, I have to surrender every single day. And I've been finding, when you do the right thing happens. Good things happen. And I've found lately that my will does align with God's will, which is very cool. I'm doing the things that glorify God, and I want to look like the image of Christ. That is my only purpose. That is my only purpose, and to bring people to understand their freedom and understand their authority that they have. And once I tap into that, it's amazing how my life goes, and all these good things and behaviors come into just fall into place, And it's difficult to be obedient that just trains me and makes me better in self-discipline, in self-control, and in love. You know, I'm sort of on this path right now with my dad because he has leukemia and he's got to do chemo the rest of his life. And so he's at the end. He's facing death. I think I had someone come over and he's like, you need to get right with God, man. You need to get right. He says, I know I'm going to hell. You know, I'm going to hell regardless. You know, whatever. And it's like, yeah, if you don't, you know, just all these things. And so it just made me see that he can see the line. He can see the little white, you know, he can see that end point. He can see his coffin, basically. So he doesn't treat me the greatest, but I've been way better at treating him like I just want to obey my parents as much as I can without sacrificing all of me, because that's what I did when I was younger. You know, I never ever let anybody hurt my mom. So if I have to be hurt, oh well. At least my mom's safe. And me and my dad's relationship is not. It wasn't good. It was horrible for a while, and I just don't. I just want to make my Father in heaven happy by treating my dad with as much respect as I can. It doesn't go that well all the time, obviously, but I try, you know. And he doesn't have literally anybody. Everybody is gone. Nobody even wants nothing to do with him because he's so miserable. He's just miserable. And so no one wants anything to do with him. And if people have told me, oh, you shouldn't live there, that's such a toxic environment. I'm like, well, yeah, I know, but I'm doing this just to help him out, you know. As much as they didn't help me, I should not act in revenge and say, well, you didn't help me at all, so why should I help you? I said that a lot of times, but now it's like, I know that I would regret, my only regret would be that, is just to leave my dad just to rot in that house and die. As much as I don't like him, I know that he was made for a reason too. And he did instill, he instilled things like mind over matter, which that doesn't really happen, but it can. If you're hurt or something physically, but he has instilled things in me, but of course it was the wrong way. You know, I almost felt like I was in boot camp for most of my life, because he just looked at me like he was the sergeant, and I was just, you know, his little minion to control. But he did train me in, you know, in doing things for myself. You know, and like my mom, I just have to say one thing is that she had esophageal cancer, and through enough praying, that now there absolutely is no cancer.
Amen. And
esophageal cancer for women is like a 22 life expectancy rate. So I was actually mourning her death. Some doctor said she's not going to live 5 years. Well, it's been almost 7. So that is very good. So yeah, having two parents with cancer, my mom had to stop her her addiction. For some reason, I don't know how, but she just stopped it. So I do have a lot of good things that came out of my life, and I look at my trauma as I turn it into victory. Like I wouldn't change it. I would not go back and say, no, I want this perfect life and parents and blah, blah, blah. I don't want that because that I don't think would have made me a stronger person as I am. And I always say, you never know how much you need God until He's the only thing you have. And that's all that I have. And, and I'm glad that I can finally recognize that I'm closer to my higher power. And just every day I just try to reflect the image of Him. And, if I can help one person out by my story, then it was worth it. And I do have a lot of inspirational talks on my YouTube, and I have a lot of gifts that God has given me. So I make sure that I always do glorify God, and that I don't really take the credit for me being who I am today. I met God halfway, and that's really all that He wanted me to do, is to acknowledge Him and acknowledge that I have the authority to choose which path I want to go. What I dare someone say, it's a lot easier to pull somebody down than it is for one person to try to pick someone up. So that's why we need the programs like this, and that's why I need church, because I have a whole family that will stand on the table and pull me up when I don't have the strength to. And so it's even though people don't want to when they're in a crisis, it's always important to ask for help. You have to ask for help. We were made for connection. We were created for connection. That's why there's 20 million groups, there's churches, and there's communities. The word community is connection. And if we all have the same like mind and all aim for the same purpose, then we're stronger than if we were by ourselves. So it's important even to love people that you hate or the people that's done you wrong, because they're just lost in their own way anyway, and to not give that person a fighting chance, just how they act. If I came in here and just the way that I acted was against the group, then how am I trying to say this? I see it in my mind. It's just important to give everybody a fighting chance, no matter how they act. Because if you reach out to that one person,
Make a difference.
that might come in intoxicated, and they say, "No, you're intoxicated. You have to leave them." Versus, no, just sit and listen to people. I've had that happen, and after meeting 10 people, come to that person and say, "Look, we see that you're in a battle, and we want to help pull you out." And then I guess the last thing that I'll say is about acceptance. Acceptance obviously is the answer to all our problems today. And I accept that every single thing, every single second of every single day has been planned by my higher power. And if I don't accept life on life's terms, then there's really no other. I can't really begin to. The thought just through my head. Acceptance is, yeah. I'm just gonna leave it with that. I get tongue tied. I got too many thoughts in my head. But acceptance for me to come to accept that I have a disease, and also the meaning to that it is nice for others to accept me as I am. So acceptance on two different ways. Acceptance for me to come to the meeting, and the acceptance of the table accepting me as who I am. It's hot in here. All right, I'm sorry guys. But yeah, so I'm grateful to be here. I do have over almost 10 months clean. So I wanted to
Good job. You did good. I see you.